Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Christmas card. I shared it on my blog about 10 days ago and I was asked if I'd be making a video to show how I did it. The main thing that I am teaching you on this video, although it doesn't show so much on there, this one's is the one I made this morning, is dealing with 1/16ths of an inch. On this one, because this was for my blog, I wasn't precise about it, but with a video I have to be. So this one, and it does look better, I have to say, because I feel that the edges are more identical, whereas this one, for example, this side down here is a bit wider, quite a bit wider than that. So that's what today's about. Please don't get in a panic because it's 1/16ths of an inch, because honestly they are a lot easier than you may imagine. Unfortunately I can't convert this to centimetres. I don't understand centimetres enough to be able to get them down to such a fine measurement as I can with the inches. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. And changes I'm going to make to this, as I say, the first change is this will be precise measurements to 1/16ths of an inch. On the inside of my blog card, I didn't put the layer in there, but I am on the video. And the other difference was I hadn't planned to do that little layer of the flower, but when I was doing the card for my blog I made a mistake and I had the second flower underneath, because I had planned to use two of them, but I got two of them, one was on top of the other, so when I put the one through the die cutting machine, I actually put them both through. Fortunately, although I had really messed up the flower underneath, I didn't mess up the middle bit, so I fussy cut the middle bit and used it there. But I don't want to have to use that amount of poinsettias for one card. So what I've done with this one, and what I'm going to do today, is I have just taken the centre out of one of the other flowers that's coming off the edge of my sheet, where I haven't got a complete flower anyway, and I don't think it makes any difference that that one isn't identical to the one underneath. In fact, if anything, I think it adds a bit more to it. If you prefer that one, obviously you can use the same flower twice, the same type of flower twice, or you stick with me and you do this. I have already die cut 3 of the berries, because there's one in the middle. I've also die cut my flower. I haven't done the fussy cutting, but I'm going to show you how I identify which flowers I can actually take. So to start off with, I'm going to tell you the card pieces that you're going to be needing. And we are going to start off with Very Vanilla. Now let me put a piece of paper over that so I don't make mistakes. Right, so for the card base you need Very Vanilla, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8 inches. By the way, if I can work out US sizes I will do, and we'll put them in the box below. But I can say now that there's no way that I can work out the sentiments, and I'm sorry. Anyway, so there was that piece there. Then you need a layer of crumb cake. In fact, you need 2 of these, one for the inside, and these should measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is our regular first layer. And then you need 2 of the next layer. Now this is where the 1/16ths of an inch come into, and I'm going to bring my trimmer over in a minute and I'm going to cut a piece to show and explain. Okay, so normally I would say these would be 1/8 of an inch shorter on both sides, but now I am going to say to you the measurements should be across here 3 13/16ths of an inch, and down here should be 5 7/16ths of an inch. Okay, don't run away, please, stay with me. So that's those 2 pieces, and then these 2 pieces, the crumb cake measures 2 3/8 inches by 4 1/8 inches, and then the layer for that one measures 2 5/16 of an inch by 4 1/16 of an inch. Then you need 3 die cut berries, you need 1 die cut flower, you need another flower where you can use the centre, and then you need just 1 piece to do the sentiment. So first of all, I'm going to show you where I get the die cuts from, and then I'm going to do the 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so the designer series paper I'm using is called Poinsettia Place, which is a good time to stop and tell you about the October promotion with Stampin' Up. They have got 15 different packs of designer series paper that are reduced by 15% during the months. Fortunately for me, one of them is the Poinsettia Place designer series paper. So if you decide you want to go for this, if you order it during October, up to the 31st of October, it is reduced. Okay. So first of all, the one with the berries on it. Okay, so that's what your complete sheet looks like. This and the poinsettia, you can actually stamp them and then die cut them. You don't have to use your designer series paper. I like to use my designer series paper because I've always got stacks left over, and once it's retired as a demonstrator, it isn't any good for me. So I like to use all of mine as I go along. Now the die looks like this. Like that. Let's put it on there for you. There we go. And the one for the flower I will be using in a moment is that one. So the bundle this comes with, so not only have you got your designer series paper, but there's a stamp set, so you can stamp this. This is 65% of the actual sizes. The actual flower is that one there. So that is just as big as the die cut flower. And you can also do the berries as well, and again it's the same size as these ones on here. Right, so the ones that you need on here are this one here. Once you get to recognise which one it is, it's really, really easy. Have I lost? No, I haven't lost it. Okay, so you've got 3 on this side, 4 on that side. Quite easy, and there's very few that have got that amount on there. So there's 3 there, 4 there, that one, 3 there, 4 there. I think on all there are either 20 or 21 of these on this sheet. I've taken 9 so far. No, 10 I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't see those ones up there. Okay. One of them, and I think it must be this one here, I'm not sure, but I didn't notice when I cut it that it actually lost a tiny bit of the edge. So that one was wasted, I'm afraid. So these, you just look for them on here, and they're, once you know what you're looking for, they really are quite easy to find. Okay, so what I did was I just cut very carefully to reach into the bit that I need. I don't want to damage these in case I come up with another idea for those. Okay, so that's those for the poinsettias, the berries rather. Now I lost one of my sheets, this one here, which is a bit buckled. It got pushed at the back of my shelf where I keep my designer series paper. See, that's buckled somewhat. So let me stick to this one. Now the flowers that actually die cut using the die are very, very easy to see because they are the only ones that don't have anything touching them. if you follow round this one here, none of these leaves or the berries or anything touch onto that flower. But all of these others have got a branch or a stem or a leaf or something touching it. If it's free, that means you can die cut it. Okay, so there's that one and that one. I don't know how many there are on here. It's not that many. You see, I've had 2 so far. 3, 4. Is that all there is? 4. It is quite a big one. That would have been another one. But the other way you can look at them to identify them is to check the actual, I'm not quite sure what you to call those yellow bits inside. But on this one, there are 3 across the top, and then there's 2, and then there's 1. So you need to check those. There's 3, 2 and 1. 3, 2 and 1. All the others have got quite a few more on them. Now this one here, can't remember where I cut that from, but it was on an edge somewhere. And all I needed was to make sure that those middle 5 petals don't come off the edge. The complete flower wasn't any good to me because it is an incomplete flower, but those 5 there are fine. So like there's another one there. That isn't really much good because it's incomplete here. The only time I would use that, this is an idea for you, is, in fact that's the one, no it isn't, it won't be die cut. So I could fussy cut that, and then on the inside of my card, adhere that along that edge there. Okay, so I would have that bit on the inside of my card. It's actually a bit too big, but you see what I mean. You could fussy cut that bit. It would be easier if it's a smaller bit. That's too small. That is how I choose my pieces to use. I love it when Stampin' Up do designer series paper where we can actually use the pieces like this. Oh no, I showed you that, didn't I, where you can stamp that. So I've got that. The other 2 of these are sitting up there. I've already put all my dimensionals on them. So first of all, I'm going to just fussy cut this. It's not particularly difficult, but the only thing that I do find with this, which is why I'm doing it with you, is because there are stages, or at least on the one that I used that doesn't match, this one here, where when you get into the centre there's no clear route for you actually to cut, so you just need to turn around and come back again. Because I finish up by putting this beautiful beaded pearls in the centre, it doesn't matter that I've not gone right round the edges here. So I just cut into that bit there. Right, I can't see right inside, so I'm going to come back out again on the next petal. This certainly isn't something to get into a state about, because as I say, it's going to be covered up anyway. And also, if you don't have these beaded pearls, one, I'd recommend that you do get them because they are just so beautiful. But if you're definite you're not going to get them, then what you can do is, there is that little die there. Now you could die cut that. It comes out looking like that. You could die cut that in, say, gold foil, and then just pop that onto the centre. That would look nice. And therefore, if you have missed any bits on here that haven't been correct, it would be covered up. Nobody would know. So, nearly done. Now here's another one. This goes right the way inside. In fact, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get you to see. If you have a look, where that petal and that petal go in here, it doesn't stop until it gets to that yellow pom-pom bit in there. Can you see? So I just turn around and come back out again. Let's just get this a little bit done. Right, I've reached the pom-pom and I'm turning around, coming back out. And as you can see, I have used rather a lot of pearls on here, so unless you've got a glut of pearls, you probably only send this card to somebody really special. So that's all my pieces there. I need to use my cut and emboss. I'm going to emboss that very vanilla layer and that very vanilla layer, and I also need to stamp the sentiment and then die cut that. So I'm going to do my stamping first, and I almost always use my Stamparatus now for my stamping. I just love the fact that if I don't stamp something dark enough, I can just go straight back in again and redo it. And I think that's quite important, particularly important when you're doing stamping with a colour like crumb cake. Although I have to say this has been coming up very well. There we go. I'm not even going to worry about doing that again. I think that's come up beautifully. But if it hadn't, as I say, I could have just gone over it again. Oh, what's the matter with you? That's better. Bit like my elbow, sometimes it gets locked into joint, locked into place. That's what that little tub of ink did. Right, I'm just reaching over to get the embossing powder I want, and I'm going to be using Tasteful Texture. You can't really see very much about that. So when I first got this one, I did myself a little sample, and I keep it at the back. This is absolutely gorgeous. It is so random and general, so general. So I have used this an awful lot. So that's going to be for that. Oh, no, before I forget, let me show you the 16th of the inch. That's the important thing about this video. Okay, now if you have the Stampin' Up trimmer, this is a walk in the park, it really is, because all the marks along here are in 1/16 of an inch. Okay, now you know your 1/4 and your 1/2 inch, and you also know your 1/8. So all these little lines in between that don't come under the heading of 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 inch, they're the 1/16 of an inch. So imagine I want to cut the layer that measured 2 5/16 by 4 1/16. Let me just bring the video down, the camera down for you. Don't switch to the wrong one. Okay. I'll try not to remember, pop you back up again. Right, let me move. Right, yes, you can see that beautifully. So the 4 1/16 is a really easy one to do, because the 16th is the first line past the 4. The best way that I can explain this to you is going by the size of these lines. The smaller the line, the bigger the number. Like one complete long line, that is 1 inch. The next smallest line is a 1/2 inch. Then the next line smaller than that is a 1/4 inch. The next line smaller to that is 1/8 of an inch, and the next line smaller to that is 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so when you're measuring 1/16, you've got to take into account all of these lines. So if I go to 4, I want to go to that first line past the 4, and that will give me 4 and 1/16. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. Now I'm going to turn this around, and I need to cut the other side on 2 5/16. Two ways of doing this. Easiest way that I recommend you do it if you're not familiar with 16ths is just count along 5 lines. Okay, so let me get my pointer back again, paper piercer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one there is the line that I need. Now if I do this right, this piece of paper is going to be the same size as my piece over there. Okay, so this is 4 1/16, and this is 2 5/16. Let me get my piece of paper. Okay, that's that one. There we go. So they're the same size. Okay, so just remember, if your trimmer is a Stampin' Up one, every line along there is 1/16, and you just need to count however many 16ths you want along there. I'm not going to confuse you by saying things like there are 4/16 in a 1/4 of an inch and all of that. I'm just keeping it nice and simple and straightforward and saying there are 16 in there, each line is 1/16, you just count up the amount that you need. Okay, that's nice and easy. So I hope that bit is okay for you, and let me bring my card back in so that I can get you back out again. Oops, too far. Is that about right? I think so. Alright, I'm going to stop there. So there's that bit. We're now going to do the cut and emboss machine. So that's those two to be embossed and that one to be die cut. The sentiment on this one is from Itty Bitty Christmas, which has been brought forward from last Christmas. No, not that one. And I'm really so pleased because this has been a brilliant stamp set. Happy Christmas. Where am I? Oh, here we go. This is the one I'm using. I prefer it to say Merry Christmas, but there you go. Happy Christmas is fine. And the dies I'm using are from Ornate Frames. This one here. This is a selection of frames that they die cut. And what you'll find with this set is that one and that one. You can die cut them in a colour, and then for this one you can die cut that in white and it fits in the middle. And for this one, do that in a colour, you can die cut that in white and it fits inside there. So you get your coloured frame. And also that one cuts out a square that's 3/4 of an inch. Not imagining what you might need a square for 3/4 of an inch for, but it's there. So the one I'm using is this one here. I just think it's nice and small and tidy. And the embossing folder, I showed you that. I had that here a moment ago. Oh, here we go. So there's that. Right, I'm using my cut and emboss machine. Put it there and I think you can see it. Now, the plates that I need, that's number 1, and I'm using a 3D embossing folder. So I need my plate, my base rather, my platform, my embossing folder with the cardstock, and plate 4. Oh, this is the old plate 4, and this one's not numbered, but if you buy plate 4 now, it's dark grey, I believe, and it's numbered, number 4. I just picked up the wrong one. Now, first of all, if you remember that where you have scissors on the front of your embossing folder, that is the front of your design. You want your paper to go on there, so that's on there like that. One of the beautiful things about this cut and emboss machine is that you don't need to spray your cardstock. You may remember I used to spray mine with water because it helped to prevent the cardstock from tearing. And now I don't find that you need that. Okay, so if I... Right, that was my front, so I know that's a front. I'm going to lay it down that way so I don't forget. It's very difficult looking at both these pieces and trying to find out which is the right side. So there's the next piece going in, and I use that line at the bottom there as a guide. Not that I think it particularly matters with this design, but I still like to try and keep it as straight as possible. I just think that there might be a pattern on there that I don't see. Right, now the front is that way. Okay, so I'm going to keep that up that way. Now I've done that, so I need my die. I didn't get it out then, did I? And I need for that plate 1, 2, and 2 of number 3, so that's 1 and 2. That's assuming I don't need to use my magnetic sheet. Let's do this first. If I find this wobbles, then I will get my magnetic sheet. One of the things I really love about this machine, and that is it is fabulous for cutting really fancy dies. I was going to do one of these ahead of time just in case I didn't get this straight, but as usual I've forgotten. Right, yes, cutting dies. When you have really fussy ones, like maybe it would be possibly one of the snowflakes, when you run that through on this machine, you only need to run it through once and it will die cut it beautifully. Is that straight? Yes, I think so. That looks good. So there's that one. Right, so let's pop those away and close this up. And when I first used this, I said the only thing against it was that it was not easy to close it without snapping your fingers and a loud noise, but it's easy to get used to that. Right, so this is what we're after. Have I thought about everything? I think I have now, haven't I? Okay, so let's start putting our card together. One of the things you need to bear in mind when you are using such a narrow gap on your cardstock like this, because you have to be really careful to make sure you get it right, make sure that you have a coloured piece at the bottom. Now, like me, I'm using a coloured piece going onto white, so that's nice and easy. But if I was using white, I would get myself a coloured sheet to go underneath, because you really don't have too much room to play around there. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I've got my coloured sheet at the bottom. I'm going to use Tombow. And Tombow is a great help for this because it does give you a bit of wiggle room, which personally I need to get it right into the correct spot. I'm just putting glue right on the outside. A pair of tweezers. Come too far down the end here. That's it. Let's do that side as well. That's it. There we go. I think it could come over a bit this way, if I've got enough time. I think that's okay. Oops. There we go. That look nice and even all the way around to where you are. Looks okay from where I'm sitting, so that one's alright. I'm going to put that on the inside. When you look at your card like this, if you've got one side that's a bit shorter than the other, like that one is, I always put that at the back because I feel that it makes it easier to open up a card, because this one stands a bit proud from that side, the underneath side. And this one's quite easy because I've still got my usual normal large gaps all the way around. There we go. And I'm going to pop this one on. This goes just straight into my corner there. And inside my card I never put any kind of anything that's got any depth to it, like dimensionals or rhinestones. It's always very, very flat in there. There we go. Just pop that right into the corner. There we go. So this one, I've now got another sheet of crumb cake. So keeping this the right way, that's going to be going on there. I'm going to put glue on the reverse. I'm not sure it really matters. I just like to try and make sure I keep it up the right way in case it matters. I'll put a little bit all over because it's bumpy. And again, very, very tiny margin all the way round. There we go. That looks good. Pleased with that. Now I'm going to put this one on Tombow. I hope you're finding that the 16ths of inches are a lot easier than you ever imagined them to be. That looks straight. And this one, and then this one. I'm going to put glue on the back. Now this layer you could pop up onto dimensionals if you wanted to. I'm not. There we go. Now I do think that on the bottom of this one, the edge looks deeper than that one to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that one at the bottom because that gets covered by the flower. As I say, I don't put this up on dimensionals, but you may like to. And I do tend to just eyeball this to make sure that it's in the centre and straight. I think that's okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do this one first. So let's pop that on. And before I'm doing this, I'm going to put some curls around the outside of the leaves. Petals rather, sorry. And then I am going to put some dimensionals on this. I think what I'll do is I'll use the smaller ones here. First of all, I'll take a big one for the centre, and then I'll use little ones around the edge. I don't like economising on my dimensionals. I'm very much of the attitude that after having gone to the trouble of making a card, I don't want it to get spoiled by sinking in the middle because I've been tight with the dimensionals. Okay, so there's that. Last one, and I judge which is the right way by whichever way these little yellow pom-pom things are going, and then I'm putting this on as low as I can without allowing the petals to come off the edge. Okay, so there's that one, and then for this one again I'm going to curl. I feel that when you curl these things, if you put them in the post, when they arrive the other end, they still look as if they've been curled, whereas these here, which have never been curled, they will look as flat as this when they arrive, but the flatness of these will be just a little bit up slightly. Right, now I'm going to pop that onto there, and again I use a dimensional for this, I think. Yep, I do. And I think that I couldn't get a large one on there, so I'm going to use a little one. And there's no right or wrong way here, so I could do it so that the petals are on top of each other or offset, and I think I'll go for offset. And for my flower, the Beaded Pearls, which are these, I'm going to put on the back of this one glue dot, which is here, in the centre. Come on, let go. There we go. And then I'm going to put some Tombow in each of the 3 circles. And the beauty of this is, because it is so mirrored on the back there, you can see where Tombow is coming down. And then I put one on the glue dot as well. If I had poured on too much, like I did on the one I did this morning, then I would blot the glue off. And I just turn this to try and cover the yellow bits up. And give it a press. The glue dot will hold it in place for now, whilst the Tombow is drying. Okay, so there's that. Now for the, oh, here they are. Right, these are my 2 sprigs of berries. Now one of these, what I've done, now this is why I've done it ahead of time, because it's a bit time consuming. I've actually cut each of my small dimensionals in half. It's very extravagant to use a whole one for each of them. So there was that one. And the other one, what I did with that was, because I'm coming to the end of my sheet here, I cut lots of little strands along, like those, like this here. And then I used them across like that. Okay, so nothing gets wasted on your sheets of dimensionals. Now when I'm going to pop these in, quite often as I go in I hit against some of my dimensionals. This time I haven't, so I'm going to go straight in and pop that where I need it to go. Let's hope this one gets stuck. If it doesn't, I'll pretend that it, oh yeah. Now I want that to, oh no, alright. Now I'm going to pretend this is hitting against. So all I do is I just chop a little bit off. Seems like I've lost my other scissors. No, I haven't. Here they are. Okay, so you don't really need that. It's only going to go under your flower. I'm going to pop that there. And then all I need is for this, for my sentiment. And I did notice, what did I do with it? Did I? Oh, yes, I did. I don't know whether you know, but we do sheets of foam, same size as this, but it's complete foam, so you can cut pieces off. And I find them particularly useful for things like this. So there's absolutely no way that is going to be denting in the middle. Okay, plenty of support. And let me just pop that straight in the centre and a little way down. Just try and make sure that it's got the same amount of gap both sides. Okay. And now we've got the extravagant bit, and that's putting on our pearls. And obviously no rhyme or reason to this at all. I just pop them on. This is the last of the pearls that I bought when Stampin' Up refigured the packets. Previously we used to have some very tiny ones like this. And we also had, I think it was 3 strands of continuous pearls. When they announced that they were being retired because they were being re-watted, not reformatted, but redesigned if you like, I bought up several packets of them. And I recommend that when Stampin' Up do bring out a list of retiring products, have a good look at the list, because they do this sometimes where you see something on the list and you think, retiring? They can't retire pearls and rhinestones. But then if you look at the little asterisk by the side of it, and then you look at the bottom to see what that refers to, it said being rejigged or whatever. And one of them was reduced. The other one wasn't. I can't remember which way round it was. But I just bought several packets of each of them. And I'm only just coming to the end of them. Now I'm putting some of the smaller ones on. If I didn't have two sizes, then I'd be quite happy to use the one size. I'm just doing them randomly anywhere. I think on the first card I counted that I'd used 21. I have enough special people to send these 3 to. I resist the temptation to put anything up there. I like it because it stands out, because it's nice and flat, whereas these are both embossed. Right, that's going to be the last one. So there we go. That's today's project. Hope you like it, and I hope you give it a try. Many thanks for joining me today. I'm sure if you give it a try, you're going to be really happy with it. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. I do like reading your feedback, and I'm always happy to answer your questions as well. In the box below, I'll be putting the measurements that I've used, and I will do the inches, and I will try the US as well, but I'm afraid I can't do centimetres. If somebody wants to explain to me about centimetres, how you do reduce them so much, I'd really be interested to know. But yes, I'll put it all in the box below the video. To open the box below, because I do get a lot of questions, I don't know how to access it, and of course a lot of people think that I haven't actually put the measurements down there. But if you're watching on a laptop or a PC, immediately underneath the video there's like 3 lines of writing, and then at the bottom of the writing it says show more. If you click on that, it will open the box up and you can see everything. If you're watching on something like a mobile phone, on the the right hand side, you'll see a down arrow, possibly 2 down arrows. Click on that and that will open up the box for you as well. Okay, but you must be watching the video on YouTube, don't be watching it via my blog. Okay. If you do place an order for any of the products that I've listed, that I'll be listing below, that I've used here, please remember to use the HOSTESS code. If you do that, then I can send you some free product with the Happy Mail that I'll send you at the beginning of the end of this month. But if you place an order that's over £150 or €200, please don't use the HOSTESS code, otherwise you will lose the Stampin' rewards that you will earn for yourself on your order, which you'll be able to spend before you actually check your order out. If you enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click on the subscribe button down the corner there, bottom right hand corner, and then click the bell to make sure you receive the notifications. And by subscribing, you'll also be helping me to reach my target of 40,000 subscribers. I'm getting so close now. Thank you, everybody. If you do make this project, I'd love to see what you make, and you can share it on my Facebook group called JanB's Happy Crafting. I'll put a link in the box below for you to join, and it's a group that's open to all crafters. It doesn't matter what your craft is, and it doesn't matter what products you use. It's just for all of us to share, and obviously I'm particularly interested in what you make of the projects that I share with you. Finally, many thanks for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to being with you again next time. And in the meantime, please take care and stay safe. Happy crafting. Cheerio.